once you start leaning into who you are, then things start to flow with ease rather than trying to push things forward. So that's my big recommendation for everyone. Really lean into who you are, into connecting with people, and then things start to come in. Sometimes slow initially, but you start to get notoriety or known for that.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets, the podcast where we talk with successful career coaches on how they built their success and the hard lessons they learned along the way. My name is Davis Nguyen, and I'm the founder of Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, and even $100,000 weeks. Before Purple Circle, I've grown several 7- and 8-figure career coaching businesses myself, and have been a consultant at 2 career coaching businesses that are doing over $100 million each. Whether you're an established coach or building your practice for the first time, you'll discover the secrets to elevating your coaching business.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets podcast. I'm Kevin, and today we are joined by Keith Anderson. He is the founder of Career Alchemy and ProofStack. Welcome to the show, Keith.
Thank you, Kevin. I'm really excited to be here today.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited to hear your story too, because you're actually living in my hometown of Boston right now, so that was really cool.
Yeah.
But let's get into your origin story, the lore. What made you become a coach and make a business out of it?
Yeah, for sure. So I had been in the corporate world for about 10 years. And I realized when I was at my company at the time, I was having to lead layoffs for my team. And what I realized is my values no longer met the values of the company that I was working for. So it became kind of an interesting piece where they're asking me to do something that wasn't really in alignment. Their values weren't in alignment with mine. So I had been working part-time as a career coach in 2022 to 2024. But in 2024, I decided to leave the company that I was with to venture out 100% on my own. And because of the value alignment that I just mentioned, it seemed like the right time, and I loved working in corporate. And I was a teacher before that, and I loved doing that too.
Oh,
But I believe that there are seasons, right? There are seasons of every part of our career in our life. So this was just one of my seasons of change, in mainly in 2024 when I did go full time into the coaching business.
so curious. Speaking about seasons, what was that season like transitioning into a coaching business full time? How was that like?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? It's very different than corporate, right? Where you are part of a larger team, you're driving a larger company going on. That being said, I always felt that I was building someone else's dream, right? The CEO and the founder's dream of the company rather than my own. So once I ventured out on my own, at first, it was a mindset shift, right? Like I'm no longer part of it, right? Is no longer getting a steady paycheck, right? Which is a concrete way of saying that I'm really in like the destiny and in the position where I need to be the one setting my own destiny, both financially, both in terms of where my business is going. And I can't be looking at this larger business, DoorDash at the time, to be giving me that direction on like what we're driving towards. So that was very new to me, and but also very exhilarating too. And while, I mentioned the financial piece, it took me a few months to get it off the ground. Once things really started to flourish. And once I started bringing clients on in my full-time capacity, where I needed to have a full group of clientele, I got a lot of inspiration and a lot of energy from my clients to help me kind of continue the excitement with what I was doing, and even help me launch my new business. That energy that I had and the problems that I had been seeing again and again from my career coaching clients.
That's really interesting that you're telling me that your clients were energizing you. That's I think it happens more often than not, but no one ever really talks about it. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking about those people, like who were these people? Like everybody talks about ICP, target audience, but who was this target audience and what did you kind of
Yeah.
help them with at the time?
Yeah, for sure. So when I started part time with my business and then earlier on, when I went full time, my focus was around people who are transitioning careers and mainly people who are transitioning from teaching in higher ed into corporate and mainly the tech industry, which is the exact transition that I went from teaching in a university to Google, right? And I kind of saw it myself 10 years ago in the people that I was coaching. So, and that's also how I got started in career coaching. I continued doing that when I continued in the full-time capacity. But then I quickly ventured out and took on clients in leadership roles in the tech industry and people who are looking to move up the ladder. So middle managers to directors to VPs or ICs, individual contributors looking to move into leadership roles. So that became a sweet spot too. So I would say overall career transitioners is mainly who I work with and people that are looking to move up the corporate ladder.
It's interesting. And
Yeah.
so you in your story you mentioned that it started flourishing and I'd love to talk about that. What was the marketing like? Like what marketing did you try at the time? What was working for you? I would love to hear all of that.
Yeah, it's a great question. And it was all organic. So I didn't do paid ads or anything. I would say, like, what really helped me flourish is actually just being more authentically myself, right? When I post on LinkedIn, when I'm posting on TikTok and all of that, right? Just speak really what was top of mind, you could say, but also a little bit more polished. So that is what really resonated with people. And the audiences that I support now and had been then too are people who resonate and come to me, or people who have been in similar situations to where I was, right? So it kind of just naturally flowed that way into a very abundant company and coaching business because I also kind of opened myself up. Instead of doing paid marketing and all of that, I also did focus on LinkedIn one on one conversations with people, right? I guess you could say maybe that was my organic marketing too, right? Where I would just have conversations with people. And then people would refer me friends that they have, right? Because they got success stories. So I had I have a good reputation and people are recommending me too. So at this point with Career Alchemy, I'm growing it or sustaining it that way. And then now, as I mentioned, I'm venturing into another business venture that is related, that it's very related indirectly to my career coaching business. So yeah.
Kind of like tangential, like very tangential. I'll ask you about it later. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No worries.
super interesting. Okay, so sounds like a bit on one-on-one, like calls, like connection calls maybe. Sounds like a bit of social media with TikTok and LinkedIn. Sounds like a bit of referrals. Now,
Yeah.
I guess when you're making that transition, was it a slow ramp up of clients all of a sudden, or what was kind of like the flow of clients like for you during that time as you're transitioning?
Yeah, so it started it started slow, right? But then I built momentum, right? Through getting to know really how to navigate my own business better and how to just navigate being a solopreneur versus like a tech leader, just very different identities. So once I started getting into the rhythm of my business, what I do, what my offering is, then when I had more conversations with people, it really naturally led into converting them into clients. So it started slow, but then it picked up fairly quickly.
Mm.
And now in the past year, I've had about 30 clients. So one-on-one clients. So yeah, it's been good.
How do you manage all those one-on-one clients with like? That's quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, they're not all one-on-one clients at the same time, right? Like a lot of them have landed roles. So I have on average 10 clients that I work with at a time. So when one person or two people or three people land a role, then I open up those spaces to new people. So it's kind of like, I guess you could say a bit elite, right? As I only take on a few people. And, when I do have consultation calls with new people, I'm really sussing out whether this is someone who I want to work with or not. So I call it and I consider it more of an alignment call to see if their goals, their energy is in alignment with mine and how I want to be helping people. And also seeing if they're receptive to feedback too. Because in the career coaching and in people's career, there's a lot of different motivations people have in their career for why they're looking for this next opportunity. So I just want to make sure that that's in alignment with how I want to and how I best support and help people.
Yeah. Energy seems to be the huge theme for this. Like, you
Yeah,
use words like alchemy, alignment. I love that. That's really.
yeah. Thank you.
You mentioned your offers earlier, and so it sounds like you mostly offer one-on-one coaching, but do you offer any other types of coaching, like group coaching, organizational trainings, or anything like that? Have you tried in the past?
Yeah, so I have a group coaching program, which is my middle tier offer. And then I have individual courses that I sell that include one 30-minute coaching session for each one of those. So, I have low, mid, high price points.
Yeah. One of the things that I love your advice on is that a lot of coaches, they often struggle with like pricing strategies. And of course, you don't need to give any hard numbers, but
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious, like, how do you think about pricing strategy? How do you structure your pricing? Do you do more project based, value based, retainer, subscriptions? Like, how does it, like, yeah, what have you gravitated to?
Yeah. So, my large ticket and medium ticket items are based on outcomes, right? So it's based on landing role, right? Which just seemed like a natural fit since that's what I'm doing, right?
That's true. Yeah.
So, yeah, so that's the outcome and that's how long I work with people. So whether they land a role within 1 month, amazing, right? Whether they land it in 3 months or sometimes 6 months if people are trying to figure out their next step, amazing or great, whatever that looks like. That's how long you work with them. In terms of pricing, I anchor it towards the one on pricing. So that it tends to be the one that people choose, right? Because that's the anchor. And the reason why I do that is because I love working with people one on one. But the group coaching program is great too. And everyone who's in my one on one program also has access to the group coaching. So yeah. So it makes a lot of sense for people to get that additional one-on-one support from me and from a pricing structure because of the anchoring that I've established with it.
When you first started, how did you come up with your pricing? Did you look at your own hourly pricing of what your time was worth? Did you see what other coaches were charging? Did you
Mm,
base it on like, oh, this is like the increase of a salary at this career or whatever? I'm kind of curious your initial thought processes.
yeah, well, initially when I first started, I was looking at other coaches, just very broadly speaking, and see what they're charging. So that was how I started out there. But then I relatively quickly transitioned into a different pricing model and structure with what seemed more with alignment with my background, with my expertise compared to other people out there. And I realized, as I mentioned earlier, that I started getting clear about who I am as a coach, just as a person who I want to work with. And as I did that, I started attracting people who are more aligned to me and for the unique value I offer, not just any all career coaches. So once that became clear, I started to raise my rates to what they are now, which compared to just a lot of people who have websites out there in career coaching, you know, it's more on the exclusive end, you could say. However, compared to there are a lot of coaches that do are a lot more too, right? But I would say like what I've seen some coaches go for is like 200 an hour or so, which I'll be honest, I think that's okay maybe starting out, right? For me, I realized that my time and my background and what I can offer people was quite a bit more than that. So I adjusted accordingly.
You know what's really interesting about your story? I really appreciate how you like were able to take your experience and turn it into that like own USP, and like people start gravitating toward you because of your story of being a teacher and going into tech and these higher roles and stuff. So I think that's so cool.
Yeah, thank you.
One of the things I'm also very curious about is you mentioned ProofStack, right? And so I'm kind of curious, like when you think about Career Alchemy and ProofStack, right? Like where do you want these businesses to take you in the next few years? Do you have any like secret dreams, big ambitions? Are you planning on scaling? I would love to hear all that.
Yeah, for sure. So for ProofStack, that is definitely a scalable model that I have. It's not focused directly on career coaching, but more on gaining proof points of why you are a unique hire or a unique person in your company that can adapt to the changing times in AI, right? Rather than taking courses or certifications, right? It's what are your wins? What can you actually build and grow that sets you apart from everyone else, right? That's a very big scaling model that can be scaled. My career coaching business, as of now, I I'm okay. Like I want to take on more clients potentially, right? That being said, if it, I'm open to it growing, but I would want to bring on another coach if it grows a lot more.
Mm,
I can take on a few clients at a time, but I don't like to work with more than 10 clients at a time. So, that being said, if there are quite a few people who seem like they could be a really good fit, and I feel very confident that I could support them, I would then consider bringing on a subcontractor or a contractor coach with me to help support them who has similar enough background to me in higher ed transitions into tech or moving up the corporate ladder from like an individual contributor to VP. So yeah.
yeah. By the way, what led to the ProofStack? Like just the birth of ProofStack?
Yeah.
I'm really curious about that.
Yeah, for sure. So as I mentioned, right, a few times that I was an instructor, that I worked at universities and I taught composition courses, and then I taught web development, UX, and a few other things. And it was great. However, what I realized then and what I realize even more so now is that honestly, taking a class and getting a certification, it means that you might know some stuff and you might be an expert in that domain from a knowledge or memory standpoint. But in terms of like what you can actually apply and bring to a career or job, it definitely doesn't translate one for one, right? It's about the experience you have. That's what companies want to hire for, not about how many little certificates you have or degrees you have, right? At least in my experience in the tech industry, I've never hired anyone just because they had a certification or just because they have a degree, right? It's always been in regards to their critical thinking, how they're able to express that, or the visible proof that they have done really well in what they're doing. That realizing that and then have things have been adapting in the AI space, I really believe that personalized growth is here and the future much more than like really structured, organized classes and certification. So that's essentially the path that I'm taking for this. And also, what I've found in my career has been how I've moved up the career ladder, from being a teacher earning 27,000 a year, to being VP earning well over 200. So yeah.
That's amazing. Oh man, I just had to ask about it. But
Yeah, of course.
another question I have for you is like, in this season of business and life, what are some challenges that you're kind of noticing right now in this season? Like things that people might not be able to see on the surface.
It's interesting. I think there's a big focus on just very generally, I think there's a very big fear and very big lack mindset, right? Of like, I need to get a job. I need to apply to 4 million jobs. And it's a little bit extreme, right? But overall, I would say the job market has changed, is changing. And when things change, which is the only constant in life, there's there's threats, there's issues there, things are dying, or they're flourishing, right? So, what I see is that there's two camps. There's people who are like trying to go with the old system, both in terms of like applying online, but also leveraging their skills, versus the people who are leaning into AI and other tech developments to really position themselves in a way of growth in a new way in their career that they have never done. So it's a very distinct differentiator there. And in my experience, I'm not even seeing it like as a scale type thing, right? Even though it is, but it's like pretty two extremes there is what I've been noticing with the conversations I've been having. So yeah, that's where I see things now. And I encourage people, not just ones that I work with, everyone, like really lean into AI and other forms of how your work can be done with AI, and then what your role looks like with that. And don't listen to the noise of what other people, other companies, all of that are saying they need, right? They don't know necessarily what they need because all of this is really new. So
Yeah.
you need to define it for yourself, and then that is your unique selling point, right? Is how you are doing this. So there's no clear blueprint as there had been in the past. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, I was just really reflecting. I was talking to my other friends. I'm like, what a beautiful time we live in with like the AI stuff. It's
Yeah.
like a lot of things are changing. A lot of old industries are going away, including my old industry of pharmacy and stuff. It's just really, really
Oh,
interesting, like what's
yeah.
happening right now. So I'm glad that you said that and to embrace the change of have a,
Yeah.
it's almost like really exciting. So thank you for saying what you're saying earlier.
Yeah, of course.
Keith, let's play a game if you're open to it.
Okay. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. This game I learned from this storyteller. His name is Matthew Dix.
Okay.
He won some sort of like storytelling like contest or whatever. But it's called
Okay.
First, Last, Best, Worst. And I want to do it today like under the lens of business investments because a lot of coaches they make business investments into coaching, training, hiring team members, masterminds, things like that, right? So I'm gonna prompt you a phrase and then tell me the first memory that comes up for you, okay? First business investment you remember.
I getting my first website
Was on GoDaddy or something, or do you remember where you
on
got it?
something like it was Namecheap,
Yeah. Oh,
which
Namecheap. Yeah,
is
I love
just like
Namecheap.
GoDaddy. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Namecheap is good.
Yeah.
Last business investment you made.
The last significant one was a coach for myself, a business coach, right? Yep.
Okay. Best business investment.
That coach.
With that coach, that's awesome. So
Well,
it's
not
double.
just that coach, but just coaching in general. I guess while I know we're talking about AI, right, and how AI can support you, I also feel that people and their expertise can help you fast track things and help you see things from a different light. So now it's both AI and human coaches who are, who have the proof, as I mentioned, to like to guide others who are not quite where they're at, but a few steps behind, which is the same thing I'm doing with my coaching clients, right? Same idea.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Worst business investment that you kind of wish you got your money back from.
So early on, when I was trying to scale other businesses, I invested so much in Facebook ads with very little return ROI on it. Different business, very different business model, but I don't think it was just that. It was also how I was spending it and how I was doing it. So yeah.
As you're thinking about these stories for yourself, like I'm kind of curious, how has your decision-making process changed and what to invest in evolved over the years?
Yeah. So I'm no longer chasing the shiny things and these promises that so many coaches make online about, you're going to make $2 million in 30 days or something like that. Realize that I can't take things so much for face value in what people say. And I need to see more of the proof, right? The proof is in the pudding. So now when I make investments into things for my business, for myself too, very diligent on how that is going to bring me to the next level, whatever that looks like in ROI. When I talk about ROI, obviously there's the financial piece, but there's also quite a few other ways where ROI can, where ROI comes from, right? So, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, final advice from you, Keith.
Yeah.
Knock on wood, I hope this never happens to you, but let's say, I don't know, asteroid hits the Earth. Sadly enough, it was only your clients, your followers, your relational capital that you built all these years. That's all wiped from the planet. And for some reason, you have to start this, like restart this coaching business again. But you have all the experience that you do have right now. So if you had to rebuild this, what would your first 90 days kind of?
Well, I would start again just by having one-on-one conversations with people, understand where they're at personally in their life, what their hopes, desires, dreams are, and see how I can support them. Like, it really doesn't need to be anything too complex. Would my business, if that were the case, would my business look the same as what it is now? Absolutely not, right? If that were the case, right? I'd probably be doing something more like life coaching as people's maybe all of their relatives died, or like, I don't know, right? There could be a lot more pressing things that finally landing a role. So that's how I would adjust.
I love it. Oh man,
Yeah,
maybe I
yeah.
shouldn't use the asteroid analogy next time. But yeah, I
No, it's
love the
okay.
whole like something the theme that I see in your story is like it's really about connection and this holistic piece about like really caring about people and serving people and just like also having this awareness about who you are and stuff too and really embracing your story. So I see
Yeah.
those themes. Speaking about connection, how can people find you and connect with you?
Sure. So I hope you reach out, who's ever listening here. You can do so by messaging me or adding me on LinkedIn. And my LinkedIn URL is, of course, linkedin.com/in/Keith and so KEITHAND. And that's my profile. You can learn more about me and my experience. And I love to talk and connect with people. So please add me as a connection or follow me. Yeah. And nice to meet you before we actually do.
Yeah, like Keith, I have to say, like, I really enjoyed our conversation today. You're so generous with like the way you think about pricing, the way you think about relationships and marketing and all that. Like, I don't know, it's just really, really refreshing to just hear your approach on business because I think that like we kind of forget working with like really bad clients can drain us. But then I think you're a good reminder that, hey, being selective about the clients we want to work with, that we love working with, is actually like really energizing to us too. So that's like one of
Yeah.
the biggest takeaways I got from this call, Keith. So thank you so much.
Good. Yeah, and last thing there, I think once I started embracing who I am, and I encourage everyone, whether you're a coach or anyone in life, once you start leaning into who you are, then things start to flow with ease rather than trying to push things forward. So that's my big recommendation for everyone. Really lean into who you are, into connecting with people, and then things start to come in. Sometimes slow initially, but you start to get notoriety or known for that.
Such great advice, Keith. Thank you for coming on to the podcast.
Of course, Kevin. Thank you for inviting me.
That's it for this episode of Career Coaching Secrets. If you enjoyed this conversation, you can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this episode to catch future episodes. This podcast was brought to you by Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, or even $100,000 weeks, all without burning out and making sure that you're making the impact and having the life that you want. To learn more about our community and how we can help you, visit joinpurplecircle.com.